Countdown from 5.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our political recap. My name is Trups LP, and joining me, as always, is the currently printing Omegon. Say hello, Omegon.
Beep, beep, whiz, and all the other sounds it makes. Hello, Omegon.
Yes. How is Omegon?
I'm alright. Been a busy week, I guess.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
My niece had a birthday on the 13th. It was my mother's on the 12th, would have been. Sadly, a friend of mine passed away, the guy whose dog I took in. So
I see that.
I went and helped the daughter he did speak to. He has 4 children. 3 are estranged. The one that he did speak to, he would speak to 4 to 5 times on the phone every single day, and I feel like part of, even though I didn't see her cry, like there's a clear wait, is the audio quiet? How?
I think on me.
How? His audio is the same level as me. You know,
I'm listening to it a little bit while we talk.
All right, I'll turn it up.
It is a
I'll turn you up. I'll turn you up. It's fine. I'll turn you up.
Turn yourself up a little bit too.
Yeah. No, I can't. I'm literally boosted. Unless I turn the gain right up and then I go into the red.
Oh yeah.
You know what? No. I'll humour this. I'll humour it. There we go. I'll turn my gain right up. You're all welcome for what happens next. Doesn't matter. So I went over to keep her company because I thought, I mean, she's in her 60s, but she's handled this remarkably well because I felt like a huge burden had been lifted from her shoulders. And so I stayed until my sister gave her a lift home because the buses and no taxis were running. So I thought, well, they were, but they were incredibly late or delayed by several hours. And I thought, I can't leave her here in this house on her own for that long. It's not very fair on her. Let her go home,
Is your public transport also suffering from labor shortages?
No, it's just shite. I live in a seaside town where there's very little going on, so we only have like 1 or 2 buses an hour if you're lucky. But taxis, they were fully booked until like 8:30 in the evening. Yes, my printer is running again because I miscalculated something. Thank you very much for noticing. I did. Trups did say right at the start, and I will say it only one more time. My printer is running. This one will not be going on Spotify because of it.
Yeah.
Very kindly, I was given a little train set because I got to look around the guy's house. I'd never been in his house before. He had a pleco that actually intimidated me. It was monstrous. And what plecostomus is
a pleco, like the fish that hangs on the side of the tank.
Yes, a plecostomus. But it was
unlike,
I love
those fish.
Yeah, I do too. We had one for a long, long time. But this one's pure white and about the size of waffle. This thing was a monster. Okay, and it fully. I was like, I'm gonna have nightmares thinking about that fish. But gave me a set of his darts and this little train set, which I thought was lovely. But I do need to text her tomorrow and be like, yo, please make sure those fish are being fed because that pleco needs a lot of food. Well, it doesn't, but it does.
Well, it's big, right? So it's just it's just the nature of having larger animals.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, towards the end, he had dementia. Well, it was believed he had dementia, so he couldn't have, for example, his own medication around him because if he saw it, he'd just think he had to take it, so he'd overdose.
Oh no!
And the same for the fish, except they were underfeeding the fish. And there's only 2 fish in there. One lovely-looking, not goldfish, but the same colour as a goldfish, but hiding in a house because that massive pleco is hovering above. And I'm like, I know what's happening. That poor fish is going to get eaten. I might talk to him.
We had this like kissing fish, right? It's a larger pink fish. Yeah. And it's got always that pursed, kissing lips, right? And I just knew it as a kissing fish because that was what we called it when I was like 7.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing was aggressive as fuck.
Yeah.
And it killed several of our other fish, but it never killed the plecos because we had like 2 or 3. They were about maybe 3 or 4 inches. Yeah, those things don't take no shit from nobody.
We once had some. My sisters made this mistake once. They put some underwater things that made it look nice, like floating jellyfish. But the thing is, they weren't floating. They had a little string, and one of the pleco's fins got caught in it. I had to be the one to put my hand in there to get it off the pleco. That pleco did not appreciate me touching, but I had no choice.
They very much don't like that.
It sucked when that pleco died because that pleco lived for like good 15 years, which is a lot long. That particular breed is a bit longer. That massive, chunky, thick one is eating, instead of eating algae wafers that we normally give to plecos we had, or the pleco we had. This one was getting catfish pellets. I'm like, that's not much food, really. I mean, I know they don't move much.
The catfish.
It's a chunk. Thing is, also that fish tank was quite nice. It had proper thick hardwood frame and everything, but there was too many for me. I'd say about a sixth of the base, maybe a quarter of the base is stones and houses that just make it look pretty but take up unnecessary space for the pleco to live and the golden fish. I would reduce that down to a sixth of the base, and I'd remove a bunch of the other houses they had in there, because the goldfish, well, not goldfish, but golden fish would use one of them. You can move that to the corner, put the plants on another side, because the pleco wants to hide. Plecos like to be secluded. So that's all you have to do. You don't need, unless we had this downstairs with Thick Junior. You don't need all these plants. He can't get a house big enough anyway for him to go in that tank. So okay, reduce this down. Get some of those plants, just give them a little space at the back, a little privacy. Golden. All right, move on.
I will text now that we're done talking about fish.
Yes.
We like fish, guys. It's fine.
They're
also healthy.
Nom 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 nom.
So we have a couple of stories today that we kind of have to mention.
We do.
Besides the ones that we had quickly gone through before the stream started, was there anything else that wasn't as like upfront and obvious as the assassination of an MP?
UK got there was some COVID stuff and some Brexit stuff. That's about it, really.
Okay. Well, let's go with let's go with the Brexit one first, I think.
Hang on, let me just move some sources. Right. So, Brexit, move. Is that Brexit? No, I don't need that one. That's not Brexit. Is that Brexit? No, that's not Brexit either. That's Sadiq Khan. We're not covering that. Okay, so during the week, the United Kingdom unveiled its plans to remove the Northern Ireland Protocol with further cuts to border checks. Now, the claim is the measures would then see an 80% reduction in checks for retail agricultural food products arriving in the region from Great Britain. The European Union's European Commission Vice President, who's got a name I can't be asked to pronounce, let's call him Maros. I'm not even going to try the rest of it, although the last bit does look like COVID, but with a C at the end. He said that the rules were turned upside down, inside out, to find a solution, which is fantastic, I guess, if a solution was found, right? Yeah, fantastic. Dominic Cummings had during the week also claimed that Downing Street always intended to ditch these parts of the Brexit deal because Boris didn't understand what the agreement meant. Claiming that Boris never had a Scooby-Doo on the implications of the deal as the government urged Brussels to revise the Northern Ireland Protocol. The thing is, the EU had pledged like far-reaching proposals, right? And they described it as let's say, alarming, okay? With the Deputy Premier, no longer the Premier of Ireland, Leo Varadkar, warning political leaders not to enter any agreement with the UK until they can prove that the UK will keep its promise, because we've kind of not kept a few promises before. Boris has kind of fucked this up a little bit, because he's written some checks with his mouth that we as a nation can't really cash. And I like Boris, he's hilarious to me, but fuck me, man. The Northern Ireland Protocol, the thing is, that was agreed upon. That was agreed. And yes, it was agreed, I believe, originally under Theresa May. So it could be a case that he simply didn't agree with it. But Boris was always willing to pull the trigger for us to leave without a deal. He was always willing to do it. Yet for some reason, he still signed off on a deal with this. even though he never intended to keep it. And
So I remember when we were talking about Brexit that the Northern Ireland border issue was one of the hot topics. I find it hard to believe, right, that Boris wouldn't have understood the agreement, considering how important it was to the negotiations in the first place.
I think the issue here is Boris has a bit of a knack for being present but not paying attention. That was a lot of the accusations that Dominic Cummings threw at him, pointing out that Boris would be there but he wouldn't be present. He'd be more goofing off instead of engaging, or he'd have his mind made up on something else, so he wouldn't pay attention to what was being said by other advisors or paying attention to the deal itself. And it wasn't like Theresa May, where she micromanaged everything. So the Brexit secretary was, Brexit secretary in name only, and wasn't really doing anything negotiating-wise, which is why she lost a few of them. In this instance, it's possible Boris actually did leave it to like David Frost and Stephen Barclay, and just simply didn't pay attention. It is possible. It's kind of his thing. But you are right. The Northern Ireland and Irish border is a huge deal. Now, for Ireland, it's a deal. It's a big deal for them because they want to unify as one country. The problem we have with that is we want peace, but we want to keep Northern Ireland because you'd just take it into the EU. We don't want that. Now that we've left, we definitely don't want that. The argument here is also that if the Northern Ireland, the Good Friday Agreement is not honoured, then there will be some more fighting again, courtesy of the rather zealous individuals on both sides of the border who take great issue with differing beliefs and can't seem to resolve it with words, and think their tiny little problem actually means something more than it is. Which, it is a very simple problem. We should just storm you. I'm kidding. We shouldn't do that.
When you mentioned that UK has made promises that it doesn't keep, all I can think of was Darth Vader. Pray I don't alter the deal further.
Oh God, yeah. Is that from Rogue One?
No, it was Episode 4, A New Hope.
Oh, it sounds like something from Rogue One. It's the only one I remember.
No, it was when Darth Vader is questioning Leia Organa and says basically
Star Trek is better than Star Wars.
I don't care.
I don't know anything about Star Wars beyond little bits here and there, and I like Yoda. That's about it, really.
Good. But I mean, purpose being is like, if you really wanted to, you could flex your guys' muscles whenever you wanted to. It's just that the global superpowers that aren't China and Iran, I don't even thought
they have a soft spot for Ireland. They really do.
Yeah, but like a lot of superpowers just aren't flexing right now.
No, and I think Boris, he can't flex because he's such an idiot. Honestly,
is he genuinely though?
No, he's one of the smartest guys you'd ever meet. But because he cannot seem to get out of his head a coherent thought, he comes across as an idiot. He can't seem to stick to a point. He has to veer off in all these other tangents. Like, if you're giving him 20 seconds to speak, he might be able to say his name in that time. And it's not because Alexander Boris de Feffel Johnson takes 20 seconds. No. Oh, Alexander. It's because he will have to try and explain his name as well. He's that guy, right? And, it's from episode 5 apparently, actually. It doesn't matter. Don't care. Well, that's me anyway. I don't care. Star Trek, remember? Hence the frickin' uniform, people. But, I think, as much as an idiot as he is, I think he thinks that there's a better way forward that would benefit the UK more. It's possible also he believes that would, by extension, actually benefit... Y-O-U-R. It would benefit...
I know, I saw it too. I was like, I'm not going to fix it, fuck it.
Yeah, too late. It's out there. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's possible Boris thinks that this would benefit both sides. The fact they're willing to work together on this tells me the EU genuinely don't want this one to fuck up. So they desperately wanted this to work as well, and I get that. I really do. My view was back then, I think everyone remembers this, when they were trying to flex on us, my answer straight away was, go fuck yourselves, no deal. By the way, thank you to 195 followers now on Spotify. We are 5 away from our year goal of 200. Help us. Follow us on Spotify. It's not really much to go on as far as what's been happening, but I'm going to link in the chat the source I've been citing, which you might not like it. It does come from The Independent, but I would argue it doesn't go through too much politically bias. It just states the key points, which is really important.
Shocking.
I think, oddly enough, when it comes to giving a timeline of things happening as they happen, they can't insert their bias. That's the key difference, as opposed to an opinion piece from the likes of Owen Jones, who I believe was trending during the week because, well, he always is being a fucking idiot.
I was going to say, idiots tend to trend, yeah.
I saw so many trending this week. Femi was the one I saw today, and maybe I was going to try and grab sources for it, but I was like, you know what, fuck that. I can't be arsed with the bollocks that comes out of that guy's mouth. It's too much effort. Okay, he was the Ramona. He's such a twat. But yeah, that's Brexit over. I've got nothing else on it.
Cool.
Do you want some COVID stuff, or do you want to talk about America?
Yeah, let's do COVID, because COVID is something that we can stretch into America, and then.
All right, cool. So the government approach, which was backed by its scientists, was to try and manage the situation and, in effect, achieve herd immunity by infection. This is from a report by members of Parliament. This led to a delay in introducing the first lockdown, which the MPs say cost thousands of lives. But in this same report, they also highlighted successes, which would be the most obvious one. The fact that, let's indulge the idea of vaccination for a second as positive, because I know some people don't, I don't care. This was noted as one of the big successes because many countries, especially in the European Union, especially there, they fucked this up. Because whereas we were like, we're going to approve every single drug we see, literally every single drug, and then we're going to buy so much of it. Other countries, the EU more notably, were busy pushing out propaganda saying that it caused certain side effects, even though their claims were factually inaccurate. Yet YouTube did not yeet those claims, did they? No.
No. Well, was this during the Trump administration? Because remember, there was a massive shift.
This is European, so European internet is a little bit different to America. We have slightly different rules because the EU govern a lot of it. So YouTube won't yeet it in the same way as they will yours, but they will restrict access to it. Like access to certain news sites in your country.
Yeah, but what I mean is, for example, when we were deep in the pandemic, everyone was talking about the vaccine as if it were, a far gone, thought, a pipe dream, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And that was just during his presidency. Even in the thing is, it's very strange. You'll notice that Democrat politics in our country follow very, very similarly, very closely to European politics.
Well, that's because the European Union has tried to model itself on America, but in their minds be better. That's what they've always said.
Yes, but also equally so in propaganda.
Well, there's that. I mean, that's the thing. So, it was highlighted as a success, the rollout of the jab. The approach to the jab, which from the research and development through to the rollout, was considered one of the most effective initiatives in UK history. But many criticised the report for failing to focus on those who had died, referencing practical issues, which include problems with laptops, which was deemed laughable. This 150-page document called Coronavirus Lessons Learned to Date is from the Health and Social Care Committee and the Science and Technology Committee, which has MPs from all parties. Am I printing the Divine Comedy on A2 paper? No, I am printing a wall mount for my headphones. Cool. That's the last time I'm mentioning my printer, by the way. It predominantly focused on the response to the issue that's been dubbed a pandemic, I hate using that word so much. MPs called this, which has claimed now more than 150,000 in the UK and nearly 5 million worldwide so far, the biggest peacetime challenge for a century. I think it's biggest unaccountable genocides for a century. No, not a century. Maybe last 25 years. Unaccountable, because no one's being held to account for this one, are they? Interesting. We won't obviously delve into that because that's obviously not good. Another part of the article that I'm citing from talks about deflection, because nobody's saying the vaccine program hasn't been successful, but the deflection of what is actually being brought to attention, the overall message is that COVID failures have cost lives. Thing is, and while people are referencing deflection, no one's denying people have died because of COVID. Some are highlighting the issue of inaccurate numbers, cause of passing being the more obvious, whereas some have been attributed to, I do believe the numbers are wrong. But I don't believe that'll ever be corrected. I think if you have an excuse to pigeonhole something to either make something bigger or make it seem more threatening, then you'll use it.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah.
Well, remember, the media focuses on spectacle, right? It's not necessarily about getting the news out, because not everybody will look at news that says, something boring.
Yeah.
But you put something in big, shiny, big headline with a lot of evocative words. It's the same thing as YouTube and Twitter, right? I mean, you put something up there with, like, look at this, 10 reasons why you might die.
Yeah.
And people will go, oh,
well,
I should probably look at that.
There's another thing I want to mention with this, and it's the thing that really frustrated me back then and now. People think that, in hindsight, how we should have addressed this is, the moment coronavirus was noticed, we should have been in lockdown. I'm like, okay, well, sepsis was on the rise over Christmas just before that. Should we put people in lockdown for that as well? How about SARS a few years ago? How about norovirus? We had that as well. And oh god, the norovirus! Better lock the country down.
There was a fatal case of Ebola recently found.
Well, fuck it. Lock the whole world down because Ebola. Okay? This is what people kept saying. And I'm like, no. Because at the time when it happened to the UK, we weren't affected anywhere near as quickly. We weren't. Other countries were, yes, but that doesn't mean we have to react. No. Why plan for something that might happen? Only act on when it has happened. And you can argue that in this context
plan for things, but don't.
Well, no. What do you plan for? At the time, we knew nothing about coronavirus. How do we plan for any of that? We didn't know anything beyond, some countries have this infection rising, but it's not come here yet. So how do we plan for that? That was my issue back then. My view was it just seemed so silly, and now people are saying, we have failed as a country because we didn't react quick enough. But back then we couldn't react. There was nothing to plan for. And no one knew whether lockdowns worked, by the way. No one had a clue if a lockdown would work. How can you even say it would work? We'd never used it before. It was never tried.
And now the WHO says it doesn't work outright, so.
Well, they'll change their mind when the administration tell them otherwise. The point is, there was no proof to back that claim. There was none at all. And you cannot now say, we should have done it, and because of that, you failed as a government. But you cannot prove what was said then actually, now applied then, because no, that's not how this works. We didn't have any inkling of a clue whether a virus vaccine could be created because of the complexity of this manufactured bat crap. Make of that what you want. I obviously don't want to say anything too controversial because I'll get into trouble.
I haven't heard anything outright wrong.
Thank you. It's just I felt so. I went through about 30 pages of this this piece of crap, and it all came across as Captain Hindsight's. Absolutely, as mentioned in the chat by Credible Thought. I just I couldn't I couldn't take it seriously in the slightest. And for those who are interested, I will link the article being cited. Because,
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, everyone is using hindsight to judge what we should have done. And you are right there. But what I was trying to say before is you can have a robust system put in place in the case of
Yeah.
an outbreak.
True.
Whether or not you act on that fast enough, well, that's just it sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't.
I agree. I think in the context of this, there was no proof a lockdown would work because nobody had used it before. We in this country had never used a lockdown. I'm sorry, but people were during wars. We didn't lock the country down when mustard gas was being used. No, we just put some masks on and went back to work. We didn't know. But you are right. Absolutely. Expect the worst, hope for the best. Plan, of course. But there was no proof that lockdowns were the solution. And based on the results, they're kind of partially, maybe-ish, kind of, no, not, maybe.
Not really, not so much.
No, not. The numbers went down a little, but then the moment you let people dip their feet outside, I remember the first day when we were locked down. I went for a walk on the seafront. I had no work, I only had my YouTube channel, and I was like, "This is just." I mean, it was horrible because there was no one there, no one to talk to. Only a few old people who were like, "I'm old. Why do I give a shit?" I remember the anxiety I felt because I didn't know what the fuck was going on, not because of the equate virus. No, not that, but entirely because of what the fuck we're just being. What, we're just gonna let our government do that? All right, then. I guess I'll go home and try and make videos and worry about views, which is not a healthy mentality to have if you're on YouTube. All right.
No, it's not.
Oh, and by the way, everyone should go watch my videos on my main channel. I see my views are dipping, and I need attention.
Shameless self-plug.
Look, AdSense is good right now. I just need just don't turn on don't turn off that pesky ad block. That's the Monday Matt line, isn't it? Isn't that what he said?
Oh, I don't remember at all.
Okay, well, long ago, commentary channel Monday Matt meaned to high heaven, not just for the flagging, mundane flag it, but also because he once said, "Don't forget to turn off that pesky ad block." And hello, sexual tipster.
Oh, is that now? I understand.
Yeah. Look at that check mark. I want one of those. Actually, just before we continue, I yesterday, at the behest of others, reached out to Team YouTube on Twitter. They linked me something because I still haven't got any notification about whether I can get a play button. And I spoke to somebody in a live chat with through Google support, and they should be able to get back to me within the next day or two, which is nice because I've been waiting more than 3 weeks, which is interesting. But they did say that there are factors they consider. Your subscriber counts, you've hit the mark, well done. But things like copyright or community guidelines and other things may play a part. And I've sat there like, I've got a community guideline warning just before I hit 100k because I linked a source. This could impact my ability to obtain that silver thing. Bastards.
Could you imagine the fucking bullshit that would be like, nah, you got a community guidelines warning because you linked to a credible news source.
The Insider. How dare I?
How dare you?
How dare I?
How dare you tell the people what's actually happening, you fascist.
F in the chat for the fascism on this channel. Thank you, everyone.
Was it on this one?
No. It's on the main channel, the community thing, isn't it?
I think so.
It doesn't. I don't know if it transfers to this channel. I don't believe it does. I mean, I could check the
probably not. If you've gotten me on this channel for long enough, and somehow I'm linked to your main channel, and I haven't gotten you a strike yet, you're good, dude.
I'm actually quite happy. You from time to time, you do go off on a bit of a tangent and a rant, and it does get a little bit spicy. But at no point have you ever just gone, nope, I'm getting you a strike. Fuck you. Okay.
I would never.
Honestly, we'll save that for the day we decide to record a Spotify exclusive, and we'll just see how long we can survive before we eat stuff there.
Ooh, that's an exciting thought.
We had discussed it once. We'll go. Let's move on to America. You said this all coronavirus ties to America.
Oh yeah, okay. So we have a strange kind of environment and a strange societal culture regarding coronavirus right now.
Oh,
because a lot of our coronavirus numbers are going down. Even Dr. Fauci has been saying as such.
Yay!
However, we talked last week. Fauci said that we weren't going to be able to get around for Christmas.
Okay.
And well, the job numbers came out within the last week.
Are they still down?
Ooh, well, okay. So between, I believe it was August to September, you had 4.3 million resignations.
Is that? Hang on, wait. Resignations?
Yep.
Is that? What? I don't understand.
Right. Okay. So the resignations, I don't think we have a explanation as to why. But if I were to go to, let's see here. Oh, I can't go to USA Today because they require subscriptions and fuck them.
You could always archive it.
Yes, true. We'll go to the Independent for it.
Yay!
Right? So, a record 4.3 million Americans voluntarily quit their jobs in August, according to the latest data from the U.S. Department of Labor.
Okay, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Right. Are some of these frontline workers who refuse to be vaccinated?
I would assume so.
Okay. Are these people who are any? Okay, so I don't know if you have access to the current unemployment numbers and whether or not this impacts that, or whether many of them have already found alternate occupations.
So here's a hard situation to kind of to deal with. Our unemployment rate, as of recently, went down.
Oh, did
now,
it?
specifically, when I say the unemployment rate, what that means is individuals filing for unemployment benefits. Okay?
Well, that...
So,
yeah.
I did a video on my account some 2 weeks ago, and I mentioned that those who left their job or who were fired for a refusal to get a vaccine were ineligible in certain circumstances, actually the vast majority, to receive unemployment benefits.
Would it be right to assume that some have savings to fall back on depending on the occupation?
Potentially, but for how long?
Or maybe they could be, possibly supported by other people.
Maybe, but the I think some of them, at least, are trying to hold on to principle, as well as some of them might have just simply thought that there was another better option.
Okay.
Because, yes, the unemployment number did go down. Is it everything? Maybe not. Maybe it's not as, aggressive as it sounds. Because, of course, all we know is that this number exists. We don't really know a lot of what happens after that.
By the way, just because it intrigues me, your country is monstrous. You have hundreds of millions of citizens and others, but you have hundreds of millions of citizens. 4.3 million isn't. It's a massive number, even by your country's standards of size and population. That's a big.
According to the balance, our unemployment in April of 2020 was 14.8.
Really?
And 4.8 in September of 2021.
Okay.
Now I'm trying to see what the change was. It has gone down. It looks like in August it was 5.2. The number of unemployed is at 7.7 million. But these people are still attributing COVID as to the cause of several unemployment situations. I think they might be dodging a few details, but That is what this says. It says it was only down 710,000 from August, if that helps.
Oh, only.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Getting better is still getting better. My question is, okay, to what end, and what does it mean? So we had 4.3 million resign, and so we've got a couple of questions. Now, of course, we know that within the past year, one of the major places that was hemorrhaging individuals in the job market was, of course, police officers, right? And first responders, because if you remember the whole spiel about all of the fighting over Back the Blue versus ACAB, like that wasn't that long ago, and is still a reason why people are not playing with the system right now. Even the police chief union leader, or the police union leader, basically said like 50% of the union is planning to not comply with COVID vaccine mandates.
Wait, how do they impose it?
Well, if nobody's going to enforce it, then the only way to do it is to bring in not local police, but federal police, and that's going to look great.
There's no way Biden would do that.
Not Biden, but whoever might be pulling the strings might.
Okay, well, let's consider then Joe Ultron Biden isn't in control. Whoever it is then, tinfoil hattie, that is in charge. I don't think anyone would want to pull that trigger because of how bad. There's no version of this where mainstream media can make it look good. Oh, we're going into a red state. We're going to force with this federal mandate with federal officers. Shucks.
True.
No, it's not gonna. It's not gonna happen. People are going to get their guns out. They're actually going to get their guns out and be like,
yes.
Oh yeah. It's why during the lockdown, this is why gun sales and ammo went up. Because when you try and force something on someone, they're going to be like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" It's just not going to work.
Correct.
You cannot.
Correct.
As much as many people would say, I really want herd immunity. I want this entire. I want. Was it? What was Biden's number? Was it like 97, 98% total?
I think they want 99.
Right. Well, of course, if you can take an inch, take a little bit more. Of course, that's what he wanted for the country to be returned to normal. I believe he said, and we discussed this and said that's not possible because there are many states who are not going to do this.
Yes, and actually, I believe it was Texas, Florida, and a couple other states have actually made it, have actually imposed fines on companies that will compel their workers to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
This is a big issue.
Right.
Because some of these companies, though they operate in states like this, they are beholden to the federal government.
Okay.
So let's just say Southwest is an example. Southwest has a vaccine mandate for their pilots, for their workers, and right now, if you haven't noticed, or if you haven't heard, Southwest has been canceling a whole lot of flights lately. I
had heard about this, causing a rather interesting shortage and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. They keep saying it's the weather, but the weather's been pretty nice actually.
Wasn't there a media blackout somewhere because of this?
Possibly. But yeah, so they've been compelling vaccine, but they can't really stop either because they have contracts with the federal government.
Yeah.
And if you're going to play by that game, then you most definitely need to obey the federal government's mandates. This becomes a hard thing to sell to individual workers. Because individuals, of course, want their individuality, their right to self-governance, their right to control their own bodies, right?
Well, that certainly brings up another number of arguments when it comes to.
I said what I said for exactly that reason.
Yeah, I figured you realise the somewhat interesting hypocrisy.
Oh, always. Yeah, they their body, their choice.
Oh, that's an interesting statement to make, but let's carry on.
Yeah, totally not related.
Nope.
No. But the Southwest has been staging. God, what was it called? It was some play on the word flu. Freedom flu, maybe something like that. Where they all calling out sick.
A freedom flu. I like that.
I think that was what they were calling it. But the pilots, the air traffic controllers, they have been staging a bunch of walkouts, and so there have been a lot of delays and a lot of issues regarding Southwest flights. Now, of course, Southwest has been having to cancel a whole bunch of things, but American, United, Delta, they haven't had these issues. So I wonder if there's something else going on behind the scenes of Southwest that we're not so aware of. Because I wouldn't imagine that only the freedom-loving people worked for Southwest.
It's very convenient.
It's at least a head cock moment. Makes you kind of wonder.
Eyebrow raise, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah, a bit. So that kind of plays into what I was talking about with the 4.3 million resignations. If shit like that is going on, for instance, is we refuse to take mandatory vaccinations, and we're not allowed to file for unemployment, then you'll get a big ass, resignation number for jobs report, and very few filing for unemployment because they're legally not allowed to, which is a really good thing if you're part of the government because you're saying, oh, unemployment has gone down.
Yes, ignore the poverty numbers and the number of people going hungry.
Well, that plays into another major thing. On Twitter today in the U.S., what was it? Empty shelves Biden was trending.
Why was that trending?
Because there's no food on shelves.
See, I had this. I saw this on
Bare
Twitter.
shelves, Biden. Sorry.
We've had a few. We had something similar here in the UK, and somebody I follow called Anne with an E. She tweeted out that, "Am I the only person who hasn't experienced a shop, my local, being empty?" And my response was, "Nope. I have not seen a single shop in my town that is, empty." I was sorry. I got distracted by something. Okay, I was filing my my Prince Albert. So I haven't noticed any empty shelves over here, but there have been empty shelves, and people blaming it on the usual suspects. But it's one of those things where, is it actually the case, or is it just an isolated incident?
Well, okay, so that's a curious question because the shelves aren't empty because of a lack of resource. They are empty because of a lack of ability to move cargo.
Okay.
So we have a whole bunch of cargo ships that are sitting off the west coast that are basically bottlenecked and unable to get into ports. And what that is, and the majority of the reason why is because there's very few truckers to move it from California to anywhere else.
Do they want to be in California?
Well, no, it's just where they get their China shipments.
By the way, I'm only saying that because a trucker friend of mine always says that.
Oh, California?
Yeah. Magnus
well,
always says it.
Oh, I know Magnus. Yeah, he's right, though. He's right. It is that. But you have situations where, okay, well, what's this mean? It means that people who are in cities, for instance, where there is a high rotation of goods, likely are going to see empty shelves faster than people in more rural areas. Mm-hmm. So if you're out of the way, then there may be a stockpile in a warehouse for non-perishable goods. And if you're also in a rural area, it's possible that you can get subsidized meat, for instance, from local farms. You could theoretically do that and stave off some of the I guess you could call it the supply shortage, right? You could save that off for a while. You might have to pay a premium for it, but hey, if people are still paying,
Yeah.
then you're still selling, and that's good. But the bare shelves thing, it sounds like a lot of people are more noticing it in more blue areas, but I don't know how necessarily places in Florida are doing. I imagine places like Texas are probably suffering because I don't know how well they can move goods in and out of there. It's a big state. There's a lot that needs to go through there. And it's not the easiest. I mean, it's easy to drive physically, but not easy to drive mentally. you know, it takes about 6 hours to drive in and out of fucking Texas.
I would assume it's a nightmare for most people.
Right. I mean, we could probably ask Magnus. He could probably tell us about it.
Maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, that's also the thing. Part of that, CA will not allow non-EPA trucks from before 2011 in the state, so it's having to be shuffled more to get to places. That's interesting. I actually had not heard of that, but I do know that California has been going very, very authoritarian on their opinions of pollution, and they've been really railing on certain. Like they just put out a ban recently for there no longer to be any small engine lawnmowers, chainsaws, weed whackers.
What is
sold?
I'm sorry, a small engine one? Is that like the one you don't sit on?
A small engine would be a thing that you hold in your hand, gas powered.
Oh, right, like a strimmer. Okay.
Yeah, like that.
Lame.
They just recently put down I guess an order per se to reduce the amount of those products that are being sold in California, trying to phase them out into solely electric, because lithium batteries are totally safe and whatnot. But in certain places, they're not seeing these kinds of shortages. So, as more people do, you are going to see a lot more people get angry.
Okay.
All right. So, let's leave that one there so that we can talk about what happened today.
Well, actually, there's one I'd like to do before.
Okay.
I noticed I was going to do a video on it, but then I realised no one really knows who she is, so there's no views in this. For this channel especially, I'm trying to find things that pop a little bit. Claudia Webb was trending. Claudia Webb was a Labour MP for Leicester East. I think she was elected in like 2015 or something, or 2019. I have to quickly check. But she wasn't in that long. The part she was in like so it was okay. She assumed office in 2019, succeeding Keith Vaz with majority of 12.2% of 6,000 voters. Okay, she is a Corbynista, right? She didn't hold any position. Okay, she got elected in 2019 December, but then lost the party whip in September 2020. So not long after, really. Why? Because she was charged with harassment of a woman. So she has since become an independent MP because she's not allowed back in the party. And after a lengthy trial where they went through some of the rather interesting details, MP Claudia Webb was found guilty of threatening and harassing a woman. The thing is, this MP made 16 calls to a female friend of her partner, which she then threatened to throw acid on.
That's a very specific type of
and then send
threat.
intimate photographs of her to her family.
That's not very nice.
Yeah. She's on conditional bail, and she is due to be sentenced on the 4th of November.
Wasn't one of those family members a 9-year-old daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that.
Thing is, the only reason she did this is because Claudia Webb was jealous of the relationship that friend had with Claudia Webb's boyfriend, who's called Lester Thomas. It's typical petty jealousy, and she threatened to throw acid over her. Come on.
Okay. What was the name of this person again?
The MP?
Yeah.
Claudia Webb, with an E at the end.
Oh. This is, Did anyone throw acid on this lady? Because she doesn't look good.
Some people don't know how to get the right... I'm not attacking appearance like he is. Generally, most people I know don't seem to know what hairstyles work for them. Based on their hairline, more notably, they always go with a style that they just want. And when they
or
do
the
it,
amount of fingers you can fit on your forehead.
Yeah, so if that's usually a good measure of where you need to stop. All right, maybe get bangs. It works for some. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. She's due to be sentenced. If she gets prison time, which I doubt, there'll be halls of injustice on her. I promise. Because honestly, I'm up for that.
But no, that's fucked. But it just sounds like petty squabbling that went really far, and I don't even want to say that this is like shocking to me because it's really not. Because what I see more is I see a jealous wife, right? It's sure, because they're an MP, they should be at a certain level above the common droll, right? That's the goal in mind usually. But I don't see much more than that in this. Because...
Would you like a reference? Because she got some character references from members.
Surely.
So she did get one from Jeremy Corbyn. She got one from John McDonnell. But the more notable one that's referenced in articles, well, actually we do have Corbyn's, was Diane Abbott, the mathematical genius, who said that Claudia Webb was very committed to working with and supporting women, who is a warm and with having a warm and emphatic manner. Empathetic. Sorry, and regarding her as a very honest woman. Yet she's been proven to have been a liar and malicious. Okay, Corbyn,
Hold on.
Go on.
I just want to bring this up because perhaps the women in the chat would agree with me. When you're worried about individuals who are going to be otherwise cruel or otherwise unfairly treat you as a woman, are you genuinely afraid more of how men will see you? Or are you worried about the things that other women will say or do about you? Because based on my experience and my conversations with the women in my lives, women are much, much more vicious to other women than we give them credit for.
Are we waiting for an answer?
No.
Okay.
The answer will come eventually.
Okay, cool. Jeremy Corbyn. Claudia Webb was a very committed individual to ensure the administration of justice was down and prepared to state uncomfortable truths when it mattered, adding, "I have no hesitation in recommending her as a person of good character who makes a positive contribution to our world, who wanted to throw acid at someone she was jealous of because they had a better relationship than she did with a boyfriend." What do I even say to that? You wanted
This would be crazy.
You wanted to take some intimate photos of that person and share them with her own family.
Hey, question: where do those intimate photos come from?
Honestly, I'd assume photo shoot.
Okay.
Because there's no additional information on that.
Yeah, that's my first question, and my second question is: I wonder if they got them legally.
I don't even know if they're real.
Right.
Only
well,
that
would
she
be
would.
just all
Only
over.
that she would, use them.
Right.
Which means very, very little to me, to be honest. I will, for those who are interested, put sources for this topic in the chat. And now we get to talk about the last one. Oh boy, this one only just happened. I have to thank Wildling, because she had the sources, which I then put on the server that we work on, because I didn't know about this. I wasn't on Twitter at all beyond. Just before we streamed, I noticed some things. I genuinely don't pay enough attention. I was doing other things, essentially. But this happened today, and I know very little about it beyond what I'm now looking at. And by the way, it's interesting that while everyone's been busy talking about violence against women, because that's been a big thing, especially with MPs. There was obviously an MP who was murdered. Jo Cox, that was her name. Is her name. Now we have another MP who has been murdered brutally, but not a woman. It'd be very interesting to see how this plays out politically, because it's not a female this time. So,
well, I do want to say that the Jo Cox estate did reach out to Sir David's family.
That's really good of them.
And said that this is horrible, and their feelings are with them, and we must strive to find a place where this won't happen. So at the very least, they did the right thing.
So Sir David, was it Sir David? Yes, MP Sir David Amess. He was meeting with constituents at a church, I believe. In his was it in his? I think it was in his constituency.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know where that is. Southend West, which is in Essex. So Southend is in Essex. I hate Southend. Has a pier though, a very long pier, mile-long pier. I think it's Southend. And he was stabbed multiple times by a suspect who's been listed as a 25-year-old man, and that's about it. But the emergency services did treat him, but he passed away at the scene. That's all I've got, really. The thing is here, it actually then just highlights something that wasn't addressed a few years back, because in 2019, 2020, early 2020, the UK was fast becoming the capital for knife crime in the world. We had a higher death rate than, what was it, New York City, I believe, at the time, from knife related crimes and homicides even, and nothing was done to address it, because how do you? I think the suggestion from Sadiq Khan was to stop the random stop searches, which knife crime then went up because of, and then to say that we'll just ban all knives of any variety, including butter
and
knives.
Spoons.
Yeah. Anything that can be sharpened into a knife. By the way, for the sake of it, with Renovatio, a Somali man, I know nothing about that. I don't know about their faith. I don't know whether or not this was faith related. I really don't, and obviously I'm not going to try and imply that.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that angle of it.
Yeah.
All I know is that the people did hold the suspect there for the authorities. They're still calling him a suspect, which is, I guess, that's good of your law enforcement system. But
so there is a list of MPs over the years that have been murdered. They've got 2001, a local councillor, Andrew Pennington, killed by a constituent who was targeting his boss, which is Nigel Jones, an MP. In 2010, East London, Labour MP Stephen Timms was stabbed twice at a meeting with constituents. Thankfully, he made a recovery. This has started a discussion on whether or not MPs should have a form of security, and it's interesting because MPs can claim expenses, and they claim a lot for their staff, because all their staff is paid for by the taxpayer. Every MP has, it's like a little mini war chest, really. They can charge for secretaries and assistants. Their salary is covered for then. Adding security to it would be an interesting one, because that's an additional expense. Does the taxpayer want to front that? it's an interesting one because then you could say, yeah, but only for those in government, which is normally what happens. You don't generally have personal security of some kind unless you've got the money to do it. I know that there was something happening in Parliament earlier. Boris Johnson was giving remarks on this and talking about this. By the way, I only heard this in passing on the way home. I think I had my had Spotify on, and I clicked on Twitter briefly and heard the Prime Minister was giving some kind words. I misheard the name David Amess as David Davis. I was very confused for a second.
Oh God, that'd be different.
Different MP entirely, but for the same party, just a very different guy. And I'd never heard of David Amess until this. Genuinely, I had no idea who he was. And
apparently, his colleagues had nothing but good things to say. Actually,
generally,
everybody who I keep hearing about on the news says that he was a genuine.
Well, he's the second
statesman.
Conservative MP to pass in the last week. One of whom, I believe, passed to cancer at the age of 53 or 50, 52. No, 53. So it's been a tough week for the Conservatives, and I think that it's not going to be. I don't think they'll politicise that aspect, but I do think this will be used as a reason to crack down on knife crime. But I don't know how they can crack down on it because their only solutions every single time is not Conservatives generally. It's just Sadiq's is to ban all knives. And again, we banned guns, and gun crime's on the rise. Okay, please stop that. Okay, it's not. Just give us guns, all right?
Working.
Give us our guns, all right? Give us open carry. All right.
You know, I remember when you weren't so sure about it when we started doing this together some 2-3 years ago. I remember you weren't so sure about how you felt on that.
I don't want to hold a gun myself. I don't want anything to do with them. But at this point, your solutions have been debunked. Not yours, the government's.
Right, correct. Yeah.
They're banning things, and look what happens. There is a spike in that crime, the very thing you've banned. Oh, but I don't understand. Why has this gone up? It's almost like people who break the law aren't paying attention to you. I know. Madness. Who'd have thunk it?
You mean to tell me that criminals don't obey the law?
I know you might not believe this, but I have to be the bearer of bad news, and criminals do not, in fact, obey the law. C'est hello!
That sounded like surrender. What was that?
It's just some random French bollocks.
Oh, okay, so it was surrender. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, no. I keep telling people that. Like every time there was a shooting in DC, and everyone's comment on Twitter was, "What? How? They banned guns there.
Sarcasm
there are no guns.
Sarcasm mode enabled."
Oh, it sometimes feels bad, to be that kind of snarky. Of course.
You have no idea how good it feels from me, though.
Oh, I'm sure. But like, you don't want to be the guy, obviously, who's like, oh. Look, people got shot and died. Well, too bad you didn't do the other political thing. Like, it does feel bad, but at the same time, they give no fucks about doing that shit to us.
One rule for thee, but not for thee.
Yeah, there will be people who die, and like within moments of knowing that they died, they'll be waving flags about how we need to fix the problems that were caused by this person.
So I take a very different view, and I've mentioned it many times. When George H.W. Bush died, some took a very let's dump on him thing, and I actually hated sticks for it because he was very much, I'm going to shit on this guy even though he's dead. And I take a very different view of why they're not here. They can't defend themselves, so let them rest in peace. Stop politicizing deaths and stop being so disrespectful of the dead. I mean, you can exclude a few obvious ones, like Mussolini and Gandhi. I'm kidding.
God, Gandhi. God.
I'm kidding.
I know he pissed off the British Empire. My God, dude.
Look, we're salty, all right? We're salty, all
I
right?
can tell.
Someone's going to take that seriously.
Yes, they will. And you know it.
Ignore the Mussolini comment and just go straight for Gandhi, all right?
Sure, why not? No, but will there be I shot MP party pics posted after they released Stabber next day, like the school shooter? You know, that's a great question.
Oh god, like the selfie of the guy in front of the burning house with his thumbs up and a big cracked smile. Fucking hell.
Well, I think what Bimbo is referring to was the Texas shooter who got off 24 hours and then went to a party.
Oh really?
Remember how I was telling you about that last week?
I may have forgotten that detail.
Yeah, the guy got off within 24 hours on $75,000 bail, and he was just off. He shot 4 people.
Damn.
None of them died. They were all injured. But
I'm glad they're
still.
okay. I'm glad they're okay.
But fuck, I mean, I guess if that's the way we're gonna play the fucking game, it's like, all right, dude. Apparently, we just don't care about these things anymore. And that feels bad.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm kidding.
I wish, like, obviously, I want to be that kind of person who can say, yeah, you know, these things are terrible. You know, we should never wish death upon these people, and their families deserve our support in these times. But in my heart, I know that we humans are fucking evil.
You are incredibly evil.
We are terrible creatures, and we're very selfish. And yeah, thank you.
I'm here to help.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I wish for just once we could actually all be like, nah, man, that's terrible.
Oh, you called it Bimbo, didn't you?
Who?
In the chat, you called RW Bimbo.
Oh, I said Bimble.
I
said L-E.
I think it sounded like Bimbo. I might have misheard you myself.
Oh, no, I said L-E because I saw the I as an L. Anyway.
Being educated.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. I did not notice. Now I'll take better looks. My glasses might need to get adjustments.
He's not going to do that. He's just lying.
Well, I do need new glasses, but no, I wish we could all have a time where we're like, yeah, this is terrible, this is bad, and like should be condemned, and then we actually do something about it, and it actually works.
In the UK, when it comes to this, I don't believe there is a solution that they could do that doesn't involve bringing back something that others will say is racist. And that be the random stop searches. That actually helped last time. You know it helped. So why remove it, knowing the consequences of it now?
Well, I believe usually because stop and search, at least when it was done in New York, it was called racist because it encouraged profiling.
So in the UK, it was because the majority of knife crimes were committed by people of certain communities that are not white. And because of that, the areas where the police were doing the stop searches were not as heavily, densely populated with white people, and so people considered it racist by extension. My view was,
right.
I like that you guys champion diversity, but you all still seem to divide into racial communities. But that's a discussion for another day.
I mean, I kind of get it. Let's just say there's a surge of immigrants. Usually they end up clustering together because they share similar cultures, similar beliefs, right? That part happens a lot.
Yeah, it happens in prison as well.
Little China, little Tokyo.
In prison, yeah, in prison as well.
Sure, prison. But, I mean, I don't know if you can force diversity on people. Like, is that the answer then to those kinds of questions? Just like, no, you don't get to choose. We'll choose for you.
No.
'Cause I think that's worse.
Always sounds worse.
It does sound a lot worse. I'm gonna be honest. Call them Jan 6 searchers looking for Trumpers by patting everybody down. Oops, we get guns and other crimes by accident.
F.
I don't quite understand, but okay. I'm stupid. Leave me alone. No, but with the stop and frisk thing, like for example, in we had that implemented in New York, and it actually did curb a lot of gun crime.
Right.
And drugs. Cleaned up a lot of neighborhoods like West Harlem, and some other places too. Actually, it was definitely racist. Though. I'll say that. I'll say that straight up. It was definitely racist. The people that they were after and were profiling definitely was racial bias, and that was reflected in several different articles at the time. So no, that's definitely a thing, and it definitely existed, and it was not good. So I don't know if it's something that we would necessarily want to have implemented over there, or you guys would want that implemented, but that's on you. As far as the gun thing goes, though, I agree. Y'all should have your guns back. I look at Australia, and I do worry about countries, especially right now, with attempting to lift mandates for only a specific cluster of individuals. What that means for those who, I guess, don't want to be second-class citizens. And when the government comes cracking down, what that means then for the civility of the country.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. These are just my thoughts regarding the situation. But in terms of Sir David Amess, thought I hate saying it now, but yeah, thoughts and prayers for his family. I hope everything goes well. He had like 5 kids. Something like that.
He'd just been to wait. Only a few weeks ago, his daughter got married, so I mean, he's still to walk her down the aisle. That's a nice thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice thing, but kind of kills the vibe a little bit.
It
especially
does
because the guy was literally out there, right? Because I remember this was a conversation that they were having about the situation, right?
Yeah.
They were saying that even after COVID, and after the Joe Cox situation, it's still very important for MPs to get out there and talk with their constituents and go and do meet and greets. But of course, after the Joe Cox incident, a lot of people were like, maybe we shouldn't do that. And David Amess was one of the people who said, no, we must do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the thing, and I hope that they don't default to a very cold, police presence, and like a very divided kind of meet and greet thing. Kind of ruins the meeting of your MP. I know that when I go to vote in my area, fuck it, the mayor, the local representatives, I've seen a whole bunch of them. They show up to the polls like with us. They actually like do a whole like thing where they go through the different cities in their district, and basically they go and say hello to the poll. I saw like 2 of my local house reps who were running in the election show up one year. Just coming by saying, hey, how are you? Hey, shake hands, all that kind of shit. I'm like, damn. Oh well. Do you have, since we don't have too much else, do you have anything that you would like to chill this evening?
I will be doing a game stream on a Megon Plays tomorrow evening if things go to plan. If not, no. That's about it really for me, I'm afraid. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Yes, thank you. I don't have anything else to shill myself. I will not be here next week. So we will go on a 1 week break, and we will be back. Let's see, the 29th of October.
Quick thing. When's your daylight savings time?
Ooh, good question. I believe it is in early November.
Okay, because mine is on the 31st of October.
Oh, cool. Daylight saving.
We'll talk about other stream. It's fine. We'll talk about other stream because we're back anyway for it. Won't
Yeah,
we?
that's fine. Yeah, we will be. So then, just keep that in mind, everybody, and thank you once again for coming out, hitting that like button. Again, this video will not be on Spotify, but we will probably resume that on the 29th. So I want to thank you, everybody, for joining, and say goodnight, Meg.